Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. C. It's a bit of an unusual video for me because typically I take the time to get camera ready, make sure my hair is all done up, my makeup's all done up. But sometimes life happens. And this week it's been an interesting one. For those of you who I've talked with, I apologize, but I haven't had much sleep this week. I have a dog who just had grand mal seizures, and we are moving through that. Been to the vet again today. It's been a very harrowing experience to say the very least. And then yesterday morning, the day after the first grand mal seizure, we lost water. There's a big water fountain blooming in the park across the street, and there ought not to be a water fountain there. So we've got all the trucks and things. And so think about all of the pressure that I'm still trying to be able to take care of my dog, trying to take care of the fact that I have no water at all in the house, still trying to stay current with my students, et cetera, et cetera. But oftentimes I had a great advice from one of my mentors of the idea of what when leadership happens under ideal circumstances, that's the easy part, right? It's easy when things go right. It's easy when things go as expected and go as planned. When chaos happens, and that's what we've been talking a lot about in class actually, is that ability to look at, well, what happens when we have to do something that maybe our team might not expect? Crisis management. The bullets are flying, whether a war or a conflict or a hospital. In this case, I have got so much chaos in my life right now. Just trying to keep an even keel has not been easy. But that's why I've hesitated, because you don't see me all glammed up. I don't have lipstick on. I don't have makeup on in there. But this is what leadership is at its core, is what happens when chaos reigns, and how do you make sense of all of this as you're trying to move forward. I used to think that as we got older, it got easier. And that's been my commentary to many of my friends going, I am, in my late 60s or late 50s, and looking at going, shouldn't I have a handle on this by now? Shouldn't I be less emotional? When I see I became a PhD because I don't do really well with the medical side of things, and now I saw my very first grand mal seizure with one of my kids, my Siberian Husky, and it just threw me for a loop more than you can see. You can hear my voice still quivering just a little bit. But this is the best time for me to be able to show you leadership under pressure and the ability of how am I still managing, the fact that there's no water in the house right now, that I have a very sick puppy who's been to the vet many times, trying to be able to figure out what's going on, get her stable on her medications. It's normal for them, but it's not normal for me. And I've got, she'll be 12 on the 17th, by the way. So this is an older dog, and these things happen. But I've had a lot of Huskies in my life, and they've never had the same thing twice. And this is often something from a leadership standpoint. We get really good when we are in our element, right? If we have this situation and it happens again and again, then we get good at it. Even firemen who counterintuitively run into a burning building, which is not our typical instincts, as we run from trouble, not into trouble. And these are the things that even in chaos, we can get better with practice. Sadly, the practice comes in extreme moments. And my biggest prayer, my biggest hope is grace under pressure, is the fact that I typically do very well in a crisis. I tend to fall apart a little bit after, get a little emotional, and you have to process that. And you have to also accept yourself for who you are and where you are and what you are. That's part of the assessments we've done this week, is to be able to look at how we see ourselves and how others see ourselves in a variety of circumstances. Again, when everything's going fine, that's the easy part. It's when the bullets are flying and the chaos reigns and you have all these unexpected things that come up, and it's just one thing after another, and you're just trying to keep it together. That, I think, is what one of my coaches said was the most important part of being able to look at leadership, is how do you handle those moments, which is why I'm making this video now and not taking the time, because I can't take a shower. Matter of fact, it was funny when the water went off as I was in the shower right as it flipped. That was very interesting to finish, your shower with bottled water. It was amazing. But notice my reaction is trying to use humor and to try and deflect all of the emotion I'm doing. We have to acknowledge we're human beings. We have to acknowledge we're going to get emotional. Things, when they go kerflooey, they can go kerflooey. And it's not what we expected. It's not what we intended. Accidents happen. Goofy things happen. Trauma happens. And we have to figure out a way through. I'm trying to be able, the more practice that you have, is to do it with a little bit more grace, a little bit more style, a little bit more elegance, a little bit less trauma, a little less emotionality. We're human beings. You're never going to be not emotional. The question is how much emotionality are you willing to show those around you? We're human. Remember, I asked the question, how much do we forgive genius? How much grace do we look at the fact that sometimes we forget that our teachers, our leaders, our bosses, they have families, they have stress, and they try to hide it because they're our leader and we want to show confidence. And I sometimes wonder if that isn't kind of not quite as authentic as we might be, because life does happen. I am dealing with some horrific things right now, and it's not easy. But hopefully you can learn from some of these things to be able to think that even these assessments, it's an assessment of a moment in time. The best we can hope for is to be a little better today than we were yesterday, and to give ourselves a little bit of grace, a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of self-love and balance when we might not be where we wanted it to be. We might not be as good as we hoped we might be, or we might be better. But there is that emotionality. These are, my dog and I have been together almost 12 years. And this is tough when people close to you are hurting, be it animals, be it people, whatever. I mean, losing your water and just having that one more thing, and we still have to work. But that's that Maslow's hierarchy, right? I don't want to make this too long of a video, but that Maslow of hierarchy, we're all similar in looking for the same things: safety, food, shelter, calm, not chaos, not trauma, not accidents, not people dying from cancer. Last month I had 3 funerals. I know all of those things, and I'm human. And guess what? I'm still here. So again, forgive the lack of glam gal. If you saw me at my keynote address, you know that I can put it on when I need to, but sometimes you just need to be real, and you need to understand that people are human and to give them a little grace while they're under pressure. So take that advice in your own life. I've heard some really interesting stories from both during my office hours, and I will have more today, as well as what we've posted online. These are amazing stories that we often think of leadership in the boardroom, at the office. We bring ourselves to the boardroom and to the office. And I want you to realize leadership starts here. And sometimes it's not always in those beautiful moments. Sometimes leadership comes softly. Sometimes it comes in chaos. Sometimes it comes when things don't go right. This is a really good opportunity to grow, and I thought I'd share some of that with you and know that we're doing okay. And so if I'm a little bit less than my normal tuple self, that is part of the authentic things of Doxy, because I'm human and have things happen to me, and sometimes a lot of them all at once. So enjoy your time. If you need to reach out to me, know that I'm here and I'll help you walk through all of this stuff. Again, grace under pressure. Just be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.